Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Boston Scientific. We on YouTube, we on Facebook, and of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! What's up, Cowboys Nation? Today, we're going to take a look at this Cowboys 30 list. It's slowly but surely coming together. It hasn't been like years past, but we got it. Boom. Right now. But we'll take a look at the 30 list, try to gauge what it could mean by going back to last year. Last year's 30 list was interesting because the Cowboys took a lot of dudes from that. So we'll take a peek back at last year's, and then we'll look at the guys they've brought in and why I find one of the things pretty interesting, a certain position group very interesting. And I think we're going to look at them take this position group later in the draft, not as early as we think, unless somebody falls to the Cowboys. And that changes everything. Right? That's why they do their homework on some of these top guys. But they still have about 10 or so names to add to the list. But right now we're at about 17, 18 around there roughly. So let's take a look at that later. And then in the roundup, we're going to quickly react to a mock draft, 2-round mock draft from Todd McShay. I want to see what you guys have to say about that mock draft, Cowboys Nation. All right, what's good, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
Nah, not the receiver position, McKay. Not the receiver position. I mean, although they could obviously take one later, but if we actually gauge it off this list, you're looking a little bit earlier than that. But look, man, the draft is a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. We just try to find all the breadcrumbs to put this thing together as best we can, man. That's really what we're doing. The Cowboys, though, unlike any other team, they're more deliberate, in my opinion. They take the 30 visits serious. And if I remember correctly, listening to Brian Broaddus, he said the reason why they do that is because of how serious they take the draft, right? Every team takes it serious, but the Cowboys never really go out in free agency or make the big trades. Now, this year they have done that, but they rely so heavily on the draft that these visits are big deals to them. And I still believe that. And they still give us hints of what can happen coming up in the draft. I can't speak for any other team, but I can speak for these boys. And already, Ron dropped 5 in the super chat.
Super chat.
What you talking about, Ron? He says, notice a lot of visits are outside players of their normal size profile. Just looking at playmakers, maybe. Stay tuned. If y'all want to call in, you can 351-999-3787. At the top of the hour, we'll get our guy Brian from the Cochran Firm calling in. We'll wrap to him, and he'll let you know why you should be choosing the Cochran Firm if you do need any legal help. So stick around for all that, Cowboys Nation. Let's hit this roundup, though, and get this show started.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Hey, yo. Todd McShay put out, I don't know, mock draft 4.0. I don't know what state they're in with this mock draft situation. But this was his latest mock draft. And he has the Cowboys doing something that they haven't done since David Lefleur, if I'm not mistaken, taking a tight end in round 1. Wanted to get y'all reaction on this if this were to happen, because in years past, the Cowboys have definitely done things in round 1 where we're like, okay. But when you look at their first round pick history, for the most part, since Will McClay's been around, you can trust them. I know everybody reaches to the Taco Charlton thing, but you can pretty much trust that they'll get a good player. Trenton Simpson was the other guy. We talked about him yesterday. The athletic linebacker, can do some pass rush things. More will linebacker to me. See it, run, hit type guy. I don't really want him as a middle linebacker, but interesting. Grade the mock. Michael Mayer, or Mayer. I like to call him Michael Myers. Tight end out of Notre Dame. Kind of joked with Voch the other day. There's a button he has. Oh, no. If you draft a guy, who's the guy this year that you would hit the button for? There wasn't too many for me. Osiris is his guy. I might hit that button if it's Michael Mayer. I might hit that button, man. Look, I think it's a good player. So I think you'll be getting a good player. I just don't know how much better he makes your team now and in the future. I don't think the dude is a special player. I know you're not going to always draft a special player here. He plays a position where year one, really first contract tight ends don't do that well. And I feel like I got comparable players on the roster. I feel like they like their tight ends. Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot make a fantastic duo. Sure, we can add to the room, but I'll pass on this. And then Trenton Simpson in round 2. Look, if I'm taking tight end in round 1, linebacker is the least of my worries in round 2. Now, mock draft, this you can say, well, Sky, this is a realistic mock draft because unpredictable things happen. But yeah, this would be a bit of a disappointment that eventually I have to get over because look, they could look at tight end as a major need, and like how I said about linebacker, they need to add to the linebacker room. But I'd be a bit disappointed for a little bit, and then eventually I have to get over it. But how would you grade this mock draft, Cowboys Nation? Let me scroll back. Somebody put Z. Towboat B, landlord A, landlord from Calabasas. Okay, this is Chris. A, wow, you love this? D, tight end in the first 2 rounds. J does not like it. Captain C minus, CG, F. I think I'm around the C as well. Z says Brian. C from KG. C minus, D from Jameson. Sheila C. Matish B. So Matish likes it. There's a couple people that like this. C minus for AA Ron. Gregory gives it a C. Super F from Malcolm. A D from Tricks. Will says I agree we don't need a tight end. Alpha says it's not too bad. I am just so far, and then I'm seeing more come through. F, C's, D's. I'm just so out on tight end in round 1, man. And maybe it's my Cowboys bias. I really like this tight end room in regards to Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot, that I don't see the need to do it. And just the history of tight ends in round 1. I know you're not supposed to hold it over other players' heads, right? But that history is not great, man. And I would love to know who else is on the board. As for Trenton Simpson, I would probably be okay with this pick if they went a different direction in round 1. Right? Like, so we're not going to take an offense or defensive lineman here. We're not going to take probably a better receiver on the board, or what if a better running back is, I don't know. The Trenton Simpson pick, I actually have less of a problem with than the Michael Mayer pick. So Todd McShay, your latest mock draft for me, I give it a C. And it's probably because I can't get over my tight end round 1 bias right now. I'm trying, Cowboys Nation, and I just can't do it. I just don't see how he's going to step in right now and make your team that much better. I feel like you got that type of guy on the roster, straight up. No disrespect to the gentleman. I mean, I think he can go somewhere and be productive, but I don't think it needs to be here, man. Matish says BPA over tight end. Well, Matish, what if they consider Michael Mayer? Is it Mayer, Meyer? What if they consider him BPA? What if he's tight end 1 to them and he falls to them and they say, hey, we like the value here with him. they've gotten so much value, and it's so strange. They've gotten so much value historically speaking, taking tight ends later. I mean, Jason Witten, for crying out loud, was a 3rd-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Dalton Schultz, 4th. Jake Ferguson, 4th. Peyton Hendershot, undrafted. Hell, Michael Bennett went 2nd round, and he had a fantastic career. So, David LaFleur was the last time they went tight end round 1 and didn't work out. You go look at the history of tight ends in round 1. It hardly works out in that first rookie contract type of deal for that team. So, and if I'm not mistaken, the 2 Iowa kids just been traded. The Lions and then Noah Fant. Hockenson and Fant both were traded. So, Evan Ingram up and down in New York. I mean, we can go on and on down the list. So, and I know Pitts just got hurt last year and he had a 1,000-yard season. So that's probably the best success over the last number of years. But even people are saying Pitts shouldn't have been a pick. Look, there were many other players that the Falcons probably should have took over a tight end 4th overall. A whole different discussion. But that's the problem when you take a tight end in round 1. Gregory said if it was Washington, he'd give it an A. I still wouldn't give it an A, although Washington to me brings something different than the Michael Mayer pick. So I'll probably bump it up a little bit. I'm out on tight end in round 1, period. But if you're going to take one, I feel Washington and Kincaid much better than I would feel Michael Mayer. We don't wipe them 304s. Chris, how you feeling about that mock, bro?
I actually really like it. I'm
why?
probably going to disagree. I really like Michael Mayer a lot. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't hate Dalton Kincaid in the 1st round either. And the reason why I say that for 2 reasons. One, we play the rest of our division 6 times. One thing those teams have in common is that they're all weak in the 2nd and the 3rd levels at linebacker and safety. The more good tight ends we put on the field, or just the more tight ends, period, we're going to have an advantage in that area.
So you want to take a tight end just so we could throw a bunch of tight ends out there?
Well, not just that as well. Another reason I think is because both of those guys, I think, bring something to this offense. I think that Michael Mayer has fantastic yards after catch. He's a really good yak guy. Granted,
so is Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson's a really good.
Right.
Ferguson's a really good yak guy, but I think he's a yak guy in a different type of way. Like Ferguson's more of a yak guy, like Kelsey, where he's gonna, he's more of an elusive type. And then Mayer is more of like a yak guy like George Kittle, where he's going to overwhelm you with power.
We definitely disagree
and then
here,
Dalton
Chris.
Kincaid, the reason why I'd like that is because I think Dalton Kincaid has really good catch radius, and I think that both of those things would really, really help this offense out.
Look, I get the Kincaid thing because he's a receiver more than anything, but you just told me that Jake Ferguson is a Travis Kelce type of guy when it comes to yak. So why would I need? What do I need Mayer for?
Well, but this is what I meant by that. I'm just drawing a comparison. I'm not saying he's going to be Travis Kelce. I'm just saying.
No, but you're saying from a yak standpoint, and Ferguson proved he could be a yak guy. So. What does Michael Mayer bring to this offense that you don't already have right now? Like, it's so much better that I got to take him in the 1st round that you don't have right now. What does he bring?
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I feel you, but here's the thing, right? Like, I wasn't thinking like this before we made the moves that we made in the offseason. Like, if we didn't address wide receiver or cornerback, then I would hate this. But I think at that spot, he might be the best player available, in my personal opinion.
Sure. But I really was asking the question though, because that's what I'm trying to figure out with Michael Mayer. Like, I can give you something with Darnell, I can give you something with Kincaid, and I can understand that. But with this kid here, and I'm not saying he's a bad player, this is just one of those situations where the current team, we're talking about the Cowboys, I don't know what he's bringing to the team that's so drastically different than what you already have at the position. So I'm genuinely asking, what does he bring to this team at the position that is so much better than what you have right now that you take him in the first round? Because if there's something that I'm missing, I would love to hear it so I can kind of reevaluate.
Oh, yeah, no, look, I 100% agree, but it kind of goes back to that thing where it's just like, if he's the best player on the board, I really don't mind that, just because I don't think we have any really pressing needs.
Best player of position of need. I mean, you got needs. It's just a matter of, do you want to take that best player at that position of need, or is the BPA at a luxury pick, is he so much better than whatever else is on the board? We don't know who else is on the board, right? So we're just going off of it here. But I just find that hard, right? That Michael Mayer is so much better than whoever that next player is. But again, I was asking a question. I'll ask the chat though, like, what does he do that is so much better that we have to take him? That's so much better than Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot that we have to take him. Because I would like to know. He's the one guy, the one tight end. I'm like, I don't see the need here. I don't see the point. Actually, let me say that. I don't see the point.
Yep. Question: did you see that list that guy put out on Twitter, the top 5 NFC quarterbacks entering this year? I don't know if you saw that. It was roaming around.
Was it FS1 or something?
Yeah, they were saying his top 5 was Jalen, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones.
Oh my God.
Matt Stafford's up there. It's like, bro, I asked you, put up a list of your top 5 NFC quarterbacks, not the bottom 5 NFC quarterbacks. What are we doing here?
Whose list is this?
Some guy, I think Clay Harbor. So I kind of see. I don't agree with it at all, but he's a Bears reporter that used to play for the Eagles.
Oh, well, makes sense. Okay, Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. I see why. Bears, Eagles. All right, say less.
Well, one more quick question. So, do you think this was kind of my problem with the Cowboys re-signing Tyron? Like, I 100% agree with you. He's a progress blocker. Do you think if they draft an offensive lineman in the first round, do you think that Tyron's going to take a seat knowing that he has a playtime incentive for a rookie?
Do I think Tyron will take a seat knowing he has a playtime incentive for a rookie? What are you insinuating? Like that Tyron is going to be a Jason Witten situation where, hey, look, I'm here, I'm playing type?
Yeah.
Well, he did say he was willing to sit down last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so he came out and said, look, I'll play second fiddle for the rook, but then Terrence Steele got hurt, so they threw him in that right tackle. So I don't know. I feel like Tyron is he just feels like more of a team player to me. I don't think he's going to cause any problems there. At least I hope I'm right. Yeah. I hope I'm not wrong here, but he doesn't feel like a guy that's going to stir stuff up.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, dude, Tyron's been such a great piece for this organization, man.
Yeah. That would be a swerve, right? If we get out to camp and Terrence is back and he's looking good and Tyron is still trying to figure things out at right tackle. You said if we draft a guy?
Yeah, like if we draft a guy within the first 2 rounds, like I could see him, taking a seat for one of those guys. But if we draft a guy in like maybe like the 3rd or later, and it's like a Mafi type, well,
how do they correlate? I don't think a guard has anything to do with Tyron, though.
Well, because if Tyron's playing, then Tyler's going to be playing guard. Like if he's starting, then Tyler's playing guard, right?
I mean, I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing Tyron is your your right tackle. Tyler is staying at left tackle. So I was thinking about Terrence Steele or benching Tyler Smith or moving him into guard. I don't think a rookie guard really would impact Tyron Smith. It sounds like Tyler Smith is the left tackle of the future, and they're according to your guy Jerry Jones and them. Tyron Smith is your right tackle, which is weird to me, but nonetheless.
Yeah, let's just hope that he had a little too much to drink the night before saying that.
I hope, man. I hope.
All right, Sky. Yo, it's landlord from Calabasas now. Instead of the trap house, we're in the penthouse now.
But tell landlord that.
All right, I got you.
All right, man.
All right,
peace. So I went to the chat to see, because this is a genuine question. I know there's guys that like the kid, and I'm not saying I don't. I think it was Ghostface. He said he's a combination of Kincaid and Washington. I don't know, man. I think Washington is uber athletic. I don't think he has that type of speed. I think Kincaid, he's closer to Kincaid from a receiving guy standpoint, but I'm seeing a lot of nothing. And this is a genuine question. I'm not saying this I'm not trying to be sarcastic. And look, man, I'm being honest with y'all, open with y'all. Like, I do feel so good about Ferguson and Endershot. So, excuse me. So I just don't see the need here. I don't even see the luxury at doing this, especially when you see how deep this tight end class is, where you can get one in rounds 3 or 4 that you can bring along with this group. I mean, it's a talented young group here, including Sean McEwen. Sean McEwen did some good things for you from a blocking standpoint last year. And I've seen him be able to make some catches in the open field. So be disappointed if they took him. I ain't gonna lie to you. Let's get to, I'm waiting for, let me see if anybody gonna text me here. Nope, I didn't get that. I was waiting for Brian to come through, but don't see him. So let's get 336. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? This is Malcolm from North Carolina. I had called a couple of weeks ago, but I was calling just to give my opinion on the mock. And give my opinion on the mock. And I'm pretty much in agreement with you as far as like no tight ends in the first round. And I know you and Botch always talk about how teams suck at drafting, and apparently analysts suck at drafting too. Seems like every year, every time, especially with Dallas, every time we like lose like a starting player, the analysts, they have these knee jerk reactions, and they're like, oh yeah, Dallas, they need to draft such and such because they lost such and such. Like everybody was talking about how we was going to lose Zeke, which we did, and everybody saying, we're going to draft Bijan. Now, if we do, I would love us to draft Bijan. We draft Bijan, I'm going to Hattie B's. But with
I feel you, bro.
But just like as soon as we lost, Schultz, everybody all these mocks were like, oh yeah, Dallas needs to draft a tight end, and they just started naming whoever the top tight ends were in the draft, and was like linking them to Dallas instantly. Yeah.
So look, I understand. Excuse me. I understand national media doing that, because national media, this is what they'll do. National media and random bloggers from different teams, when they're doing these mocks, they'll Google, they'll search, they'll go to Cowboys, they'll look at the stats, look at the roster, and they'll say, oh, this tight end only had 17 catches last year. This backup only had 12 catches last year. They need a tight end. And they'll mock a tight end to the Cowboys, not understanding, as Cowboy fans, we've watched these guys. We've got two talented guys that they can roll out right now, play football, and play some damn good football with those tight ends. We know that. So the Todd McShays of the world, I ain't even mad at them when they do it, because I don't think they really looking at these rosters like that, in my opinion. But when Cowboy fans do it, I'm like, are we not watching the tight ends that we have? And y'all believe it's that much of a need that we got to take one in the first round, where historically speaking, that doesn't work out.
Right. So yeah, that was all I had.
Yeah. Hey man, good question, brother. Funny thing, let's appreciate the call, man. Funny thing about the tight ends and the future of it, we kind of saw last year, if you go to the 30 visit list, we saw last year that they had interest in either replacing Dalton Schultz or having a backup plan. So let's kind of go back a little bit and take a look at the 30 visit list. Okay. And one of the first things that we talked about last year, if you remember on this show, was just how many tight ends were on this list. They brought in 4 guys. And that gave us a hint that they were looking to grab a guy. And most of these dudes were day 3, like early day 3, late day 2 type of guys. The Ottens of the world, the Ruckers, Woods. Now, Wademeyer, he flamed out. They eventually took a guy they didn't bring in, but he was very comparable to some of the Ottens and the Ruckers. But when you look at the 30 visit list, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, Dallas took 5 guys that they brought in from this 30 visit list. And if I can bring up, boom, here we go. They took 5 guys that they brought in from this 30 visit list. They took Deron Bland right here. They took Malik Davis. Now, not necessarily draft-wise, but they did draft Devin Harper. They did draft Deron Bland. Where are we going here? Sam Williams. And who else am I missing, Cowboys Nation? There's one more player that they took. Marquise Bell, the very first guy right there. So they took 5 guys that they brought in during their 30 visits. And I think that gives you an idea of what they're going to do this year. Now, Marquise Bell and Malik Davis and Devin Harper, they didn't really get now Malik Davis got a chance. I wouldn't say Malik Davis. But Bell and Harper really didn't get a shot to show a lot during the season. But that's fine. We believe that there's something there. If you look at this year's 30 visit list, so far, I think we can kind of get a hint of where they're going. I think, like I said, there's only about 17. Will McDonald's not on here right now. Will McDonald is a 30 visit. He was at the Star. I don't know why it's not being reported publicly. I mean, Fox did break news, and that was real news. It should be reported, but Will McDonald was also a guy. If you look at this list this year, they've got 5 wide receivers so far. I mean, they could bring in more, but they got 5 wide receivers on this list, and these guys are mostly day 1 or day 2 types that give you some big play yak ability, right? The Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jalen Hyatt's, Tank Dell. Jonathan Mingo is a bit different from most of these other dudes. He's more of a possession guy that showed he can do some speed things, but he still could do some yak things. I think when you look at Quentin and you look at Mingo, you're talking about X wide receivers. When you look at Zay, Jalen, and Tank, you're talking about guys that bring some explosiveness to the position. But between Zay, Quentin, Jalen, these guys are probably going to go late day 1, early day 2. Tank might even go day 2 as well. Mingo could surprise some people and go early day 2 as well. So they are 100% still in the playmaking department, or market, I should say. They're still in that playmaking market. Another interesting name here, Cowboys Nation. Emmanuel Forbes. So Foots and I have not done our cornerback class just quite yet. But man, Emmanuel Forbes is fun. And he possesses the length that McClay likes. 32.5-inch arm length, 6 foot, fast guy, super twitchy, very instinctive, and he's looking to make a play. He just light as hell. I mean, that's really the only knock on the dude. Like, he plays bigger than what he weighs, but he's super light. His play style might not complement Diggs the greatest, but honestly, I wouldn't be complaining about having 2 high ball skill type of guys on the team. Not at all. Plus, I think he's a better prospect than Kelvin Joseph coming out. I honestly don't even think it's even close. When you look at the production, it's not close. I mean, it's not even fair to look at the production. He's got 14 career interceptions and 6 touchdowns. But just the kind of nuances of the game, you see Emmanuel Forbes more comfortable with because he played a lot in college. He played 35 games. Kelvin Joseph played 15. So he had untapped potential that you were hoping that Kelvin Joseph can reach, but there was also the red flags. There was way too many red flags. You can talk about the red flags off the field, but you can also talk about the inexperience on it. Emmanuel Forbes checks so many boxes. So many boxes. The only one really that he doesn't is that he doesn't really have the weight to bang with bigger receivers. But I think he has nuances. I think he has the instincts. I think he's fast. He's obviously a playmaker. And I just wonder where they are viewing him in regards to day one or day two. Because we kind of were ruling out cornerback in round one, weren't we? But we also have to remember, boundary cornerback, there are still question marks after 2023. And Forbes could answer those questions. So it's something to keep an eye on. I got a couple other guys I want to talk about when I get back here, but I want to look into the chat here and see what you guys had to say about Emmanuel Forbes, because I really like this kid. He's a guy, man, look, I'm not really trying to take corner in round one. That corner is going to be likely cornerback 4. So you're talking about contributing on special teams, and if somebody gets dinged up when you go to dime package, you're probably not going to play a lot of snaps. And you know how I feel. I think if I'm drafting you in round one, you got to do something. You don't necessarily got to start right away, but you got to contribute in some manner. And that would be, but the upside is crazy there. He obviously would be your guy moving forward. You're not going to likely re-sign a Gilmore. He's here to try to get you over the hump now. So Forbes be interesting. Would y'all like Emmanuel Forbes here for the Cowboys? We're not going to talk about rounds, because I feel like if you say round one, y'all say no. If you say round two, you're probably for it. But in general, would you welcome Emmanuel Forbes on the Cowboys? Yeah, he liked him, man. He liked KG. I think it's strange. He plays so well to be so light, but I would love to ask Al Harris, like, what do you do as a coach when you get a guy like that? A guy that's light in the butt, but he has all the skills to be a really damn good cornerback. Very skinny, Aaron. Forbes, Banks, or Smith. So he weighed in at 166 bands. So you got to be careful with where you go get your numbers, because if you just type in whomever, right, and you go to like Pro Football Reference, they're going to use the numbers that the school uses, and the school usually lies. At the combine, I think he measured in at 166, and 166 is light. So can he put on pounds? Well, sure, absolutely he can. And if he can put on, say, 10 pounds, which that's a lot for a little dude, I know. But if he can put on 10 pounds, just about 176, 180-ish, that's 14. But then you feel a little bit better. But 166 is pretty light in the butt. You're right, Reggie. He don't play like it. He don't play. I like the kid a lot, man. And I honestly would not be mad if Emmanuel Forbes was drafted here. Yesterday we talked about 24 or so names that the Cowboys, we are clustering the Cowboys from 26 to 58. If they took any of these dudes, I'd be like, I get it. I'm fine. I'm throwing Forbes in there. Throwing him in there, man. Let me talk to DJ about it. Then I want to come back and talk about this other position group. What's good, DJ?
Hey, good morning, Scott. Good morning, Scott. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, brother.
Greetings from the mountains of Caucasus. Good morning for everybody.
What's up?
Now, Forbes, man, I don't mind it, right? Prefer not to go corner, like you said. But, I mean, if you're getting a skilled guy at a Power 5 position, I mean, it's hard to argue with, right? It's one of those things that, of the possibilities, he's likely to be there at 26, right? He's probably not going before that. I personally would see him going late 30s, early 40s, personally in my ideal draft situation. But like I said, like we talked about the other day, if you're talking about a guy that you would take at 35, but not at 26, then you're overthinking it. So
yeah, he's according to the mock draft statistics over the interwebs, he's been a second round guy, but he's starting to creep into the bottom of the first round. So he's a top 40 player. He's in that cluster of 26 to 58 without a doubt. It's just a matter of, will a team at the end of the first round say, screw it, I'm not going to wait for him to hit us at 60 or hit us at 58 or 59. I'm taking him right now. And that's And that's probably going to be a lot of these guys between 26 and 30, right? It's probably going to be a lot of these players selected.
Yeah, and like we've been talking about, if the Cowboys are picking them at this point, I mean, I'll just let them have it until proven otherwise. So if they deem this the guy, like, hey, let's just do the research, learn as much as we can about him, and start speculating on how he'll, how much playtime he'll get, who he has a chance to beat out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he that position is an interesting position because you're set. Your top 4 is absolutely set, but the future of it is not necessarily there because you're going to be without Gilmore. You're going to be without who is it? Not AB Lewis, J. Lou. So they could be looking towards the future, but this guy's got a lot of talent, man. A lot of talent. I want to talk to somebody down there and see how they feel about him. They're clearly bringing him in, so they like him.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, the 30 minutes meant something.
It means something,
right?
Yep.
So, with him working this guy out, and being a defensive guy too, that's mattered way more than being an offensive guy here recently as well. So, it really comes down to what Dan Quinn saw, talk to Al Harris, and see what he had to say about it, and then just take it from there. But the other reason I called is because of this mock draft, man. I was hitting George Lopez.
Y'all like this mock. Let me bring it back up. Y'all hate this mock. How you feel about it?
Oh, my God. But ultimately, like, if we're being reasonable, just take a step back for a second. It comes down to who was on the board, right? But knowing McShay and watching his mocks, it was probably like Jalen Carter, Bijan, Nolan Smith, and Jackson Smith and Jigba were all available, and we still took Michael Mayer. Like that, not that Michael Mayer is a bad player, right? He's a good player, and arguably the best quote unquote all around tight end in the class. But my thing is if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Like, just give me a guy that's dominant at one thing or the other, like Kincaid with receiving or Washington with blocking, and then we can build the other skill set. But I need you dominant at something so I know how to use you on the field, right?
Yeah.
And then
he feels like he has the highest floor but the lowest ceiling. I mean, that's basically how I can put it.
Yeah, for sure. And then Trenton Simpson in the second. I don't hate it, but I hate it because you took Michael Mayer in the first.
Exactly. Like I ain't mad at you, Simpson.
Yeah, this is not your fault, player. I'm damaged from previous relationships. That's all this is. This has nothing to do with you. Because Trenton Simpson is a cool player, right? He is definitively a second round dude. Wouldn't be surprised if he fell to the third, honestly. High third. Right, like first 5 picks of the third, but wouldn't be surprised if he fell that far. But again, it's not about him. It's about the fact that they took Mayer in the first. So,
sure.
I definitely, and now again, comes down to what the rest of the board showed at the time. Now, if there's I'm sure there's some reality out there that, all the guys got wiped out, and one of the QBs we thought was going in the top 10 is still on the board. And this makes the most sense, but I just don't see that world right now.
Yeah, I think it's impossible, man, to get wiped out here. Because, again, at 26, a lot of the dudes there are going to be mostly second-round graded guys. So you're not going to be wiped out.
Yeah.
But, hey, dog,
Sure.
Appreciate the call, DJ. Pretty sure I'll rap with you later on Vot's show.
Oh, and just close the note real quick. That list was definitively Jalen Hurts at 1, Justin Fields at 2, Daniel Jones at 3.
God.
Brock Purdy at 4, and then they had
wait, Brock Purdy? Who made, or is somebody trolling?
But it's the first I got on the Facebook, because I'm part of this generation that just wakes up and picks up our phone. First thing I see on Facebook after waking up, it ruined my whole day. They had Brock Purdy at 4.
Bro, look, man. You want to ride the wave of Jalen Hurts, whatever. I'm not even going to sit and argue with you. But there is no way in hell you're telling me Dak Prescott is not right after that. Forget Justin Fields. What are we doing? Brock Purdy, Daniel Jones. What are we talking about here? I would love to sit down and talk to this guy and say, please tell me what makes you think any of those quarterbacks are better than Dak Prescott.
The fact that Dak's not on the list, right? And maybe we overthink this because of friends, but you can't if you had this list.
No, we're not overthinking it. That person is overthinking it.
Matt Stafford at 5 is still crazy to me. If we're being realistic,
look,
you're telling me better than Matt Stafford? That's
none of them
false.
None of them two dudes is man. It's wild. That list is wild. I don't do lists. I don't even react to them because it'd be stuff like this is what people want, right? Hey, if I leave Dak out of here, everybody's gonna click and talk about it. They got an agenda. It's not genuine. It's whack to me. That's corny.
But anyways, I'll let you get back to it, but
yeah.
I'll probably talk to y'all.
Salute. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
That's whack, man. Brock Purdy? I didn't even know Brock. Look, what did Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones literally did. He won a game and lost a game, just like Dak did. He won a game and lost a game in the playoffs. So that puts him above Dak Prescott? Daniel Jones got 12 touchdowns in his career. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? He got 27 rushing touchdowns and 8 passing touchdowns in his career. What are you talking about, man? They call him Vanilla Vic because he got 35 rushing touchdowns and 6 passing touchdowns in his career. What? And you putting him... All right, man, whatever. All right, look, let's get to the 2023, back to the 2023 list real quick. I want to talk about the running backs that are on here. Kendre Miller out of TCU and Zach Evans. Let's start with Kendre Miller because he is a teammate of Quentin Johnson. So with Kendre Miller's interesting. A lot of people, including Marv, hit me up and was like, man, that Kendre Miller, man. I said, let me go check him out, man. And I did, checked him out. He was highly productive last year with TCU. Another size guy that I think complements Tony Pollard because he's a bigger back. He runs tall. I think he plays kind of tall. He's a linear guy to me, though. He's kind of a downhill guy with solid feet. He had some decent feet. One move guy at best. I don't think he's a dude in the open field that is a crazy threat. It feels a bit clunky when he's switching gears. Not as smooth as, say, a Charbonnet, right? In the open field. Like Charbonnet is surprisingly very smooth in switching his gears in open field for a bigger guy. I don't think he's going to be a 3-down guy. I don't think he's going to be a guy you put on as a 3rd down back because he just doesn't have that production as a pass catcher. But a day 3 type of dude. And I see why they bring him in. And if you look at the guys they bring in so far, the Zach Evans, the Kendre Millers, the Tyjae Spears, you're talking about guys, after round 1 and possibly round 2 of the draft. So unless a Bijan Robinson falls, they're looking more at the Kendre Miller types. But the other dude, Zach Evans. I like Zach Evans better. Of these two, I think he's a much smoother runner. I think he has a natural feel for the position. I think he switches gear with much better ease. A big play threat in the open field because he's smoother, in my opinion. Really nice suddenness at the line of scrimmage. The knock to me, he's not really a pass, not one of the knocks. He's not really a pass catching back though. And the dude fights the rock, kind of like modern day Zeke fights the rock. I don't really like him, which sucks, man, because he can be a big threat, big play threat in the open field. And the way to raise his ceiling, to make his upside become even higher, is to be better as a pass catcher. And he doesn't have that production there, and that's something he would have to work on. But from a pure running standpoint, I like him around higher than Kendre Miller. I really, really like this guy. Now, he didn't run the fastest 40 time, but I think he has explosive football speed. So I think he can be explosive in the open field. He's not going to be a 4-3 guy, but I think he can run by you. I think he can run past you in the NFL. So I'm much more of a fan of Zach Evans than Kendre Miller of the two. But I think if you take a look at the guys they're bringing in, these are guys that are going to be, late day 2, early day 3, or later types that they're looking at. Unless Bijan Robinson falls, I don't think the Cowboys are taking a running back early in this draft. I don't. But those are the backs that so far that they have on the 30 visit list. Kendre and Zach Evans. How y'all feeling about those two, Cowboys Nation? Let me go look in the chat and then we'll jump on the horn. I like Johnson out of Texas too. Physical back. And did they bring him in? I'm going to keep my eyes out on how many more running backs that they bring in and where these guys are projected to go, because it's such a deep class, right? They don't really need to bring in Bijan. They probably don't even really need to bring in Gibbs. But some of those mid-round dudes, they probably want to get a better feel about. And so far, between Zach and Kendre Miller, a little bit opposite of Tajay Spears, right? They brought in Tajay Spears to work out. These guys are more, the term physical, but they're less 3-down guys. They're less pass catching guys. They're less Tajay Spears types, right? So if they're looking to grab one of them, I feel like they'll grab one of them in rounds 4 or 5. If they want a Spears, if they want a Gibbs, I feel like they have to jump a little bit higher because those guys offer a little bit more from a playmaking standpoint. Lost in translation said, I'd go Bijan at 26 and Vila at 58. Boy, that'd be fun. Yeah. So I knew they had the private workout with Tajay, but they also had a private workout with Roschon Johnson. So again, Johnson fits in that other mode. So I would love to get a list, and maybe Professor O give me that list of all the running backs so far. And right now we got Evans, Miller, Johnson. I'm putting them in this side. And then you got Tajay Spears. Let's keep an eye out on how that list adds up, because I think that'll give us a hint at where they're going. Now, if that list evens out, that basically tells you what I believe in the fact that they shouldn't go into this draft at the running back position and box themselves in, because yes, Zeke is gone and they got Ronald Jones on a 1-year deal to supplement that power aspect. But Ronald Jones, 1-year deal. Tony Pollard, 1-year deal. Malik Davis, I think he has a 1-year deal. So your running back room is not set for the future. So you can take any kind of running back. I don't think they should go into this draft and pigeonhole themselves into a specific style, because you're going to need that run. You're going to have that running back for 4 years. Unless they sign Tony Pollard to a longer deal, you don't have any type of running back next year. And then, yeah, you could say, well, we'll draft a guy and roll with it. Sure. But you want to have somebody in the house from the previous season. So I don't think they should box themselves in going into this draft at that position. It's a new number right here. 682. What it is, what it do?
Hey, Sky. How's it going?
Going great this morning. How are you?
Hey, man, I want to address your bias and tie in a little bit here.
Please, man, help me out, because I am biased.
You always talk about bias and tight end, but it's you have no problem taking a receiver, right? Like none, correct? At that 26 pick?
So receiver and cornerback to me are kind of fell down the totem pole because they went out and got Gilmore and they went out and got Cooks. So receiver actually would go a little bit below than corner, because Cooks is here for the next couple of years. Excuse me. And Gallup is technically here for another 3 years or so. So receiver, I'm okay if they don't take a receiver in round 1. I'm not really looking there. I'm looking on the trenches, honestly, if we're being real.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. And it would kind of depend. Again, this isn't my pick, but I think we need to brace for Will McDonald being the pick. I think that's why they're not talking about it. I think they're going to pick him. I think that's why. That's
interesting, because it has not been reported by the media.
But anyway, if there's a tight end there, and that's what they got, and he's the best that they have at the position, the Cowboys love to pick those guys. The best one that's there, they love to pick those guys. And my point is, it's a weapon. It's another weapon. Just like if you picked a receiver, it's another weapon. That guy might not get to play either. And it's not against anything against Ferguson or Hendershot. I love those guys too. But it's another weapon. It gives you another weapon. And we keep looking at the Cowboys from a. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're. So I don't. if you would have said Washington, or if you would have if you would have said Kincaid, like that's the word that's being used for Kincaid, weapon, right? Because he can be a detached tight end and he can take advantage of mismatches, right? He's basketball background, athletic. Like I can hear you on that. I don't view Michael Mayer as a weapon like that though, because I think that Jake Ferguson is a weapon. Like it can be just as much of a weapon as Michael Mayer. So I think it's more of a him issue than the position in general. I'm out on the position. There's that. Like I'll admit that. But the other two I can be talked into. It's just this guy right here. I don't see him providing any quote unquote weaponry to what we already have. Whereas a wide receiver, right? A wide receiver can be used in so many more different ways. They're more explosive. They're more of a threat downfield. They're more of a threat after the catch. There's just a more value there at the position. If you were to take, for instance, a Zay Flowers, I would 100% take Zay Flowers before I would touch Michael Mayer.
And I would too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if that's what we have there and those guys are gone that we like, I think a guy like Kincaid is a huge weapon for this team. I agree with you, Myers. He may not be that weapon. He may be more of the old school Cowboys tight end, but we have to look at what Mike McCarthy's going to do. My thing is, like, we assume Mike McCarthy's going to do one thing, but what did Mike McCarthy do in that season he was off? He went and looked at the whole NFL and saw what worked, right? What was working out. So we don't exactly know what he's going to do. He did a lot like what Dan Quinn did. We all assumed Dan Quinn was going to come in and run something, and he looked totally different when he actually got the controls, right? Yeah. So we have no idea what Mike McCarthy's actually going to do.
That's a fair point.
So, and how he would use those guys.
It's a fair point because he's now in control of the offense, right? Whereas I think we had to kind of tailor the offense to how Kellen wanted to do things. But and if you look in years past, I mean, technically, even the Packers weren't taking tight ends high. They were kind of bringing in veteran dudes or developing their own tight ends. But, I mean, I said this before and I'll say it again. We really don't know what this offense is going to look like until we get to minicamp. So, we'll get hints of it throughout, the guys they add in free agency and in the draft. But you're right. We don't really know what Mike is going to do. So I can't push back on that.
And that's just my point with, like, pigeonholing about tight end, because we have no idea how he wants to use them, how he wants to use them. He might like that 3 tight end set that we saw last year and never used and was pretty effective, Hey,
so,
I don't know, but
grab Laporta or grab one of these other dudes later on. But in round 1, man, I just I'm not too fond of it. That's all, man. That's all.
Like I said, to me, as many weapons as they can get is what I'm looking for. No matter what they what they play. It'd be like grabbing Bijan when you have Tony Pollard. You don't need Bijan, but if he's there, he's the best. He's the best there's been in years, and he's a weapon, right? You've got to find a way to use him.
Come on, man. We talking about maybe the top 3 player in the draft compared to like the top 30.
Yeah, again, it's not. It's the same. I'm just saying weapons in any way you can get them. Basically,
I know. Fair enough. That's all I can say about it because I've heard that argument. Appreciate the call, man. Good stuff.
All right, thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Look, man, I'm not even gonna fight y'all no more on this weapon thing because I get what you're saying. Just think, man, Ferguson 10 toes down on Ferguson, man. So don't beat me up when y'all hear me talking about them boys like that. I think them two can do some really good things in this offense. All right, let's get to some regulars here, and then we got a couple numbers I'm not familiar with. Let's go, Lamont. Good morning, Lamont. What's good with you? Uh-oh. Lamont, you might got me on mute, brother.
Oh, my bad, bro.
There we go.
I had it on mute. I was just being, courteous just in case you did going to answer and
I got you,
man.
Still
talking. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of taking a tight end in round 1 unless it's Washington. That's the only tight end I'm comfortable with taking because I know he can block, but I know there's a lot of upside to him when it comes to the passing game. And that's just about it. Now, as far as running backs wise goes, I don't think they're going to take one early just because they did bring in Ronald Jones. And they're going to probably have Ronald Jones and some other running back battle it out for the power back position.
Yeah.
You were saying something about Emmanuel Forbes. I think that's his name, right?
Yes.
So the thing I like about Emmanuel Forbes is that he is a very aggressive, physical cornerback, and he plays bigger than his actual size. So
that's what's surprising to me. You know, at 166, 170, whatever he is, he doesn't play that way. I think he can work on his tackling technique a bit, but he'll stick his nose in there. This ain't, we make fun of Trayvon Diggs now. He ain't that.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you did take him in the first round, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want a cornerback that small. Well, what if he's actually better than your fourth cornerback? What if he actually comes in and outplays Easy McQuamu? Or if he outplays a Jordan Lewis or Deron Bland? Like, I think he's him, bro. I think he's him.
So I don't think he'd compete with J. Lou. I think that's Deron Bland. I think Deron Bland got the slot on lock. I think you're looking at Emmanuel Forbes on the boundary.
Yes.
Maybe, so if he's on the boundary, who he beating out there, brother?
He ain't beating nobody on the outside. But
that's what I'm saying. So
as far as like getting him in here and getting him a year underneath his belt, they're going to actually put some weight on himself. Like maybe they put him in the off-season program and try to get his weight up. And like somebody said, the Cowboys don't really draft to replenish; they draft to replace. And
sure,
they could be using him as a replacement to
Lamont,
Stephon Gilmore.
I'm with you there. Like that was my point of taking Emmanuel Forbes. Like if I'm taking Emmanuel Forbes, it's not because I'm believing he's going to come in day one and play for me right away. I am acknowledging my biases of first round picks where I do want them to contribute in some shape or form. It just looks like he would have to contribute via special teams and as the fourth corner. But they're drafting him because if they were to draft him, we're just saying here, if they were to draft him, they're drafting because they see so much upside and talent that they're willing to allow him to develop, get him some of that offseason peanut butter in year one, not necessarily redshirt because you don't want him to redshirt. And then in year two, he's your guy. So you still got 3 or 4, depending when they take him, years of contract control over him. So, look, I'm with you. If you take him, you're taking him for the future, not the now, which kind of goes against what I usually like to do early in the draft. But the Cowboys put themselves in this position. So I think we have to refocus our lens on how they address this draft now.
Yeah, big time. And when it comes to receivers, I was just thinking, like, a lot of people keep saying, well, maybe we don't need a receiver, but man, listen, you can never have too many weapons, man. Especially going against teams like Kansas City, man, like they don't have the most weapons, but the scheme that they run, dude, is so hard to stop. And those routes that they ran in the Super Bowl to score the last 2 touchdowns, like that's tough to go and cover as a cornerback, period. So that's why I wouldn't be against if they did decide to say maybe we do need to go on the front load on weapons because you struggled with San Francisco the last 2 years to put up points, which I'm so tired of losing to San Francisco. It's starting to piss me off. Honestly.
It's funny, man. The Green Bay Packers was on my hit list as that kind of monkey off the back moment. If we remember in the 90s, Green Bay couldn't get over the hump of Dallas. And then the Niners and Dallas were going back and forth. Now it's kind of switched back to the Niners where, you know what, I want to see them again because I want to whoop their ass so we can get that monkey off our back because Green Bay's done. So as much as they kind of have our number or whatever, I thought we were closer last year and they're going to be worse this year. So bring them. Bang, bang, Niner gang, bring them.
Man, I'm telling you, Scott, I just want to beat those boys so bad.
Too.
I don't want to do it at AT&T. I want to go and do it at their field. I want to shut those fans up.
I want to do it at AT&T, but yeah.
Oh man, selfishly, I want to do it at their field. I want their fans to be front and center so they can feel the heartbreak we've felt the last 2 years, bro. Like
It would nothing make me
Yeah, but
happier
anyway.
than a NFC Championship game at AT&T. Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Well, anyway, Sky, brother, I'm gonna let you get to it, brother, because I know there's other people on the phone.
Indeed.
I just wanted to come in and put my 2 cents in, bro.
Salute. Appreciate you, dog.
All right, bro.
I look down here at Trip Aces. He said get D-Hop and King Henry. All right. You know what we got to do that? Go to settings. Scroll down. Scroll over. Salary cap off. What you gonna have to do? Because ain't no way Cap Boy is just gonna sacrifice all that precious salary cap space for those numbers. No sirree Bobski. They made their moves, Trips. I saw you earlier and you said what happened to the 2-year plan. They've made their moves for the 2-year plan. Brandon Cooks is a 2-year plan. Stephon Gilmore is a part of the 2-year plan. It's just 1 year of it. So they made their move, man. You know, we gotta take baby steps. You know, this ain't we not the LA Rams where we trading all the picks to go get Jalen Ramsey and getting Odell and Von Miller. We not them, man. We not them. Jose dropped 4. I'm gonna try to catch some of these super chats while we're talking now.
Super chat.
Jose or 5. Appreciate you. He says, since teams suck at drafting, you think they look at the Cowboys to see who to draft? And if so, do you think the Cowboys use that to their advantage? Well, that's interesting. Team suck. So I think, you know, and shout out to Vach, he should get a shirt. Team suck at drafting. I don't think those teams think they suck at drafting, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So they probably believe they're doing fine. But I do think there is something of looking around the league and kind of call it copycat league, whatever, practice what those teams are practicing. But if you go back and listen to Will McClay talked on the draft show about a month or so ago. Guys like McClay and scouts and pro personnel scouts, they're not in the business of giving up their secret sauce. They're not in the business of giving up what works for them and what they look for. So I don't think it's as simple as, hey, let's look around the league and see what how the Cowboys draft. Because obviously team needs come into play, right? You can guess, you can look at the results and say, well, how did they know Trayvon Diggs would yada yada? How did they know Deron Bland? You can look at that and then try to gauge, but there might be something that Will McClay is seeing or Will McClay is studying or his scouts are studying that they're not going to give that secret sauce up for. No, sirree, Bob. Those dudes work too hard and they're underpaid. And we're talking about the scouts. So to give that away, and now if they get hired elsewhere, then they'll have that secret sauce, right? But I don't know if it's as easy as just looking around and saying, let's do what Dallas is doing. It's a good question, though. Sully dropped 1. He said, back here we go.
Super chat.
Man, oh man, if they go first or second round corner, I can only imagine Kelvin Joseph's live right now. And I'm good on Henry. We just got one and done with the workhorse back. Facts, Sully. Ayo. So apparently, Kelvin Joseph went on live and was like, why they doing this to me, man? When the Cowboys traded for Gilmore, then they deleted it. So if they go cornerback round 1 or 2, yeah, he probably going to not be happy about that. Todd D, he dropped 1.
Super chat.
He said, imagine drafting in Washington and putting him at fullback. Now, Todd. Yeah, if we playing Madden, yeah, do something fun like that. King G said, what's wrong with y'all taking Washington at 26? I'm not trying to take no tight end. Y'all willing to spend the first pick for somebody that will be your third tight end? Y'all wildin'. I don't want to take any tight end. If you take a tight end in round 1, he ain't going to be a third one, though. That's for sure. And that's my thing about the tight end in round 1. Jerry Jones is not taking a guy on the offensive side of the ball to not play. You know, I'm going to have to live to see that day. Defense, Jerry usually can see, hey, man, whatever you want to do, Rod. Whatever you want to do, Chris. Whatever you want to do, Dan. Offense, boy, if I take you, they took CeeDee Lamb and said, CeeDee said, man, I want to wear number 10. At 88. took Zeke 4th overall. Zeke has 17,000 carries in his first 3 years. You know what I mean? So if they take a tight end in round 1, that tight end is going to play a whole lot. So there's that. It's just a matter of will he be featured. But I don't want him tight end in general. Danny in the chat losing his damn mind. What's good, Danny?
Hey, yo. Good morning, Sky. I'm a little late. I apologize. Couldn't sleep all night, so I slept a little late today.
Nah, you was in there early. I just got to you a little later.
Okay, good. I got in a little late. I heard tight ends mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said just what you just said. We don't need a tight end. We need a complementary tight end. We don't need a starter.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Big Mike, all his years in Green Bay, he had a big 6'7", big athletic. Jermichael Finley and Jimmy Graham from the U. You know, so he does
Bennett.
like them big athletic guys.
And Washington fits that mold. Very good point. Washington fits more Jimmy, more Bennett, more Jermichael. We're missing one more.
Yes, but
Richard Rodgers wasn't as big, but
you know, there's like we're going to go back to day 3, Danny. Originally, a month ago, I gave you Zach Canucks. That's his new name, Canucks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But now he's moved up to like the 2nd, 3rd round. But still, day 3, and it's crazy in today's world when the tight end from Miami, Will Mallory, is considered a sleeper day 3 guy, but he's a sleeper day 3 guy. And the kid Josh Wiley from Cincinnati, he's a day 3 guy, and he's a legit 6'7" who lost his quarterback, Desmond Ritter, still put up giant numbers. And if you look at his junior tape, his numbers was crazy. With what you said about tight ends, like, do you really want to spend a first-round pick on a guy that's going to play 15 snaps a game? Don't you think the same could be said for defensive end with Micah, Tank, Dorrance, and Big Sam? That's why I don't understand the love for Will McDonald and stuff like that, because, like,
do you want me to rebut?
Do you agree with the same analogy, kind of, or no?
No.
Like, we're going to spend the first round with DE, and he's only going to play 15 snaps? Like,
no.
Who does Will McDonald push off the field, in your opinion?
So these are two totally different things, because I think pass rusher is way more valuable than tight end. Way more. I disagree a little bit on the tight end playing 15 snaps. Like I just got done saying, I don't think Jerry is going to ever let a first round pick on offense play 15 snaps. Don't see it happening. So if they take that guy, he's either probably going to be a starter or he's going to be rotating with whomever it is. Before I get to the defensive end thing, though, here, another reason why, and I don't think anybody's talking about this, why taking a tight end round 1, I don't think is necessary. It's because you got Dak Prescott. Like, Dak Prescott made a 4th round tight end look like a guy that needed to get franchise tagged. You've got a veteran quarterback that knows how to use his tight ends, man. So I don't necessarily think you need to, that alone, I don't think you need to grab that guy, but you don't even have the need or honestly the luxury. If we be keeping it a bean, I don't even think they're in a luxury place to take a tight end in round 1, because you got a couple, and if you want to get a 3rd tight end, get that guy in day 2 or 3 of the draft. What are we doing? But defensive end,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, defensive end, I think is just more valuable, Danny. And Dan Quinn is going to use that guy. He's going to rotate a lot within that defense, but and the future of the position, right? You named a couple guys that won't be here next year. Whereas tight end, you got those dudes for the next 3 years.
Yes, you're right. We have a young group of tight ends, and if we do go out and we get a Big Ten, or right now we have 3 Big Ten tight ends. We get another one, we'll have 4. You know,
all Big Ten room.
I'm gonna land the plane. I know you got other callers. I saw you running backs before. I love Bijan's backup, Johnson.
I do too.
Tell me, I like to compare guys. He reminds me of C.J. Spiller, who played for Buffalo. I'm going back about 10, 15 years.
Interesting.
He runs upright, came to college originally as a quarterback, blew up at Texas. I just think
Spiller the explosive. Now, there's 2 Spiller. I think there's a Spiller in the league now. But wasn't Spiller the explosive dude?
Yes, but Johnson is explosive. He's sneaky explosive.
Sneaky, okay.
But Spiller also had that, like he ran upright.
He was a tall
And
runner.
so does Johnson. So when I see guys like that, they kind of remind me of like, that guy reminds me of C.J. Spiller. You know, I heard you say also you like the kid Miller from TCU.
I like him on
if
day
you
3,
watch
though.
that, okay.
Yeah.
Day 3. He's definitely a day 3 guy. But TCU has a linebacker, Winters. Yo, just go to the playoff game. This kid tackles everything. And during the season, this kid is. I like him as a day 3 guy. I'm going to just land the plane on Zach Evans. Major character concerns. He got thrown off his high school football team the day of the state championship football game. His head coach said, I'd rather lose the game than play with you. Now, that's not even what he got into in college. So I'm even going back to what he got into in high school. So I just think with this running back's so deep class, you really just have to. And listen, I don't want to push the kid off the bridge because of that. You know what I'm trying to say? If he pans out, if he changes ways, yeah, let's say I'll play anybody. But he has character concerns that has to be looked into.
And what day 3 guy?
And,
what's the name?
Which one? The linebacker?
Yeah, well, what's the linebacker you talking about?
Winters from TCU.
Okay, the Winters kid.
If you watch he's a big dude. He tackles. If you watch the playoff game versus Michigan, the kid's just a monster. But there's so many running backs. I'm out. I'm landing the plane. Great call. Well, great chat. Great call. I apologize.
Appreciate you, brother.
Looking forward to listening to you and Bob.
Yes, sir.
You and Bob say tomorrow. You got it, man. Later.
Come back through. 316 Mafia. We got to change that. Man, Danny will definitely be hitting you with some day 3s, boy. Tripp said he out till we get real with the free agents. My guy, you said we should get Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. What is real about that? King Element. Professor O said, I don't see the comparison. I don't either. I was trying to hear out Danny. I thought Spiller was the more explosive type of guy, slasher. He make you miss. He gone. Roschon just seemed more of a physical runner to me. All right, there you go. So the comparison to Roschon, Latavius Murray, that makes more sense. Oh, the NP is also in the cap doesn't exist. Get both of them dudes. Look, we're talking about.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
We're talking about Stephen Jones, y'all. I think he just about to be like, give me Derrick Henry and what we doing. All right, man. We got 2 heavy hitters coming up. Let's get Landlord Loston. We'll close it out with 204 or 240. Landlord from Alabama. What's happening, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, dog. Look.
I had to ask.
Oh, let me congratulate you real quick, man. Fantastic interview with Israel McQuamo, as well as Pick 6, by the way. I saw y'all. Great stuff y'all did with Izzy, man. I love seeing our community be able to connect with the players because they think we can't jive with them. I think we could personally get more out of them than the actual reporters, but that's just neither here nor there. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I really do. But I did want to tap in with you, man, because,
sure.
I wanted to see, okay, you get 2 players, right? You got 2 players. Name me your 2 players who will make you just say, screw my whole big board if they fall to us. Like, CeeDee Lamb was a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, screw all the research I done did all year. If this guy drops, I'm running to the podium and I'm taking him. You get 2.
In the round 1?
Yep.
Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter.
You can't cheat, man, because he ain't going to be up there.
I mean, that's what they said.
I'm talking about realistic.
That's what they said about CeeDee Lamb. you gave me the CeeDee Lamb comparison, fam. I didn't expect CeeDee Lamb to be.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
So
I guess I'll let it slide this time. Go ahead.
So Jalen Carter.
Okay.
And probably Bijan. There's not many.
Okay, well, you on the Bijan train then. Okay. Because I saw, he one of mine. And my other one, it's kind of a toss-up because, I'll take either one of them, Paris from Ohio State, one of them guards and tackles, one of them tackles from Ohio State.
Yes.
But if they drop me just being an offensive guy, I'm sorry, bro. If I get Roquan or Zay, I'm running to the podium.
I mean, I like the guys. I like the tackles. You know me. I'm a big fan of Zay. I don't think this tackle class is excites me as much as previous. But again, if one of them fell, I'll take them. But you say I'm running to the CD Lamb, like none of them dudes I'm looking at as that type of fall, right? Where, oh my God, I cannot believe so-and-so is here. This dude is my consensus number. Like CD Lamb, most people said this dude is a top 10 talent in this draft. Like we're not going to be able to get him at 17. So those are the two, like Jalen Carter, Bijan Robinson.
You know what I thought about was that scene from Friday when he was like, "Drop everything. Craig's in trouble. Come quick." One of them. Like you just got to drop everything.
Yeah, it'd be them two because nobody else is going to make me go crazy like that. Like again, there's a cluster. There's just a couple dozen or so of players that if they fell to the Cowboys or if they're sitting there at the Cowboys, I'm like, yeah, I can understand making that pick. And I'd be happy and perfectly fine with making that pick. But am I going to go crazy if we took a Broderick Jones because he fell or Paris Johnson because he fell? I'm like, man, I love the pick, but it wouldn't if Jalen Carter fell. Hurry, drop everything, run quick. Like,
come quick.
Then we gonna have that conversation, baby. But yeah, man. And I think it's because I just view this draft as less top heavy as it's been in years past.
Yeah, I just got one more side to you, though. Okay. Yeah. Now, this was one dilemma I've been having. Okay. At 26, like, idealistically, you'll want a starter, right? You'll want somebody to come in and start, especially the position we in team building. Like, we are a very close football team. We should be in win now in draft mode, too. This is what I want the Cowboys to be on. We should be in win now mode in the draft as well. Like, move up. We need quality over quantity, in my opinion. So I'm thinking, like, at 26, what players would you got to think about what realistic positions would actually start and contribute? So, it's not many of them. We in a good situation, Scott, to where our team is very, very solid.
Correct.
It's a few of them, but not many. So what position would realistically contribute day one?
So, contribute is different, right? So we had this conversation on Vach's show. In years past, the way the Cowboys approached their roster building, their team building, I thought it was vital that their first round pick had to either contribute immensely, not just contribute, but like they had to contribute immensely or start. Like that was
to be a good starter.
First round, second round, y'all playing. Like there's no getting around it because you had to, because Dallas was going out and signing Darryl Worleys and they were signing, Nolan Carrolls, and they were signing these type of guys, adding to their team. So it was vital that they hit on these dudes, right? This year is a little bit different. Like you do have to adjust your thinking because they went out and they got some hump guys, right? In Cooks and Gilmore. I think when you combine those two players, you're talking about them hump moves. So they got players that solidify positions where you needed starters at. So we were talking about defensive tackle. Then boom, they signed Jonathan Ankins. So technically, you can line up and play at defensive tackle. Cornerback, they got Gilmore. Wide receiver, they got the one position is obviously guard. So that is the glaring need right there that you can say they can draft a guy at 26, he comes in and starts. But I think at this point, this year at least, this offseason, they've put themselves in position to where you don't have to be as hard. Me personally, I don't have to be as hard on them drafting a quote-unquote year one starter because they've aligned themselves, they put themselves in position that they haven't done in years past. So I'm not tripping if that guy's not a starter, but I can't fully go away from that person commit. Like they have to be able to contribute some way, somehow.
Yeah,
and,
you can do right, that. But I'm thinking like I'm thinking like the people we have in place. You know how we use that joke. We got McDonald's at home. Because I can tell the pulse of the nation, like you got on your show, man. Shout out to your good concept.
Absolutely.
But according to the pulse of the nation, bro, the positions that everybody yelling and screaming about, we got McDonald's at home. But to me, so you know what that indicates to me? That indicates to me is y'all want somebody better than what we have. Because you don't want depth. We got depth. We got bodies at linebacker. We got people like Devin Harper who I feel like can step in if he get an opportunity. We got players who can fit this mold at linebacker. A lot of people hollering linebacker. A lot of people hollering defensive tackle. You want a defensive tackle to come in and be better than everyone we got on the roster. We got decent ones. We got okay ones, but we just don't have a phenomenal one.
Right.
So if you draft these positions, that's what the nation looking for. They looking for somebody. They looking for somebody to come in and start and be better than what we have. So the only positions I feel like that's possible is at guard. You know what I'm saying? I don't view a rookie defensive tackle to come in and just be better than everybody we got day one. Like it's possible, but what's the likelihood of that?
Can we have another conversation about that though? Because defensive tackle is going to rotate. They're not starter. That's foul. You know, starter. The term starter for defensive players in the front seven is used loosely here in Dallas.
2 down, man.
Is used loosely because the only dude that's playing 90% of the damn snaps, and he didn't even do it this year because they put him at edge so damn much, would be a Micah Parsons and your linebackers, right? Your Jalen Smith used to play 90% of the snaps. If LVE wasn't such a hurt guy. He play a high percentage of snaps, and he probably still did anyway. But the front seven only has a couple of them. Dan Quinn rotates. So if they draft a defensive tackle, if they draft a defensive end, those dudes are going to play. They just not probably going to start, you know. So if we can kind of remove the word start when it comes to that position, I think you feel better about taking one of those tackles. But when it comes to guard, there is no, hey, we going to rotate a guard. Like, that's your starter. That's really the only position that I can think of right now where they drafted day one dude or drafted a round one guy and he's coming in and basically your starter because you don't really have anybody there right now. So that's really the only position.
Man, I look at that as a big time tip your hat moment for Big Mike Soprano. That's what I call him now. He the done over here. He got Kellen wet. He took Kellen out there to the water and had him sleeping with the fishes, man.
Told him look at the flowers.
He had him sleeping with the fishes, guys. So that's Big Mike Soprano. He got us in a great position, Sky. But I just wanted to tap in with you, man. I appreciate you taking my call, bro.
Man, good stuff, landlord. Make sure y'all check him out in the Trap House later on today. Salute.
All right.
Fantastic conversation. And that's something, you know, look, I'm very steadfast on need my early guys to play, but I'm also, the more data you get, we talk about this a lot, you have to have the ability to refocus, and the Cowboys have done something they haven't done in years past. They've put themselves in a position like this, not because they signed Nolan Carroll or they signed James Washington or they signed Dante Fowler. Like, nah, they went out and got a top guy in Gilmore and one of the most underrated wide receivers in Brandon Cooks. That changes things. Those positions are filled. The rest of your roster is, you can go play, like legitimately play. Not like, yeah, we can play, but Nolan Carroll, or we can play, but James Washington. Nah, you can go line up right now and be one of the top teams in the league, I think. But let's add on to it. So I think this year you kind of got to refocus. Like, yeah, if we got to get a guy that can play, but we're obviously clearly thinking of the future as well. Yeah, Danny, I think a lot of people, if we had to list our day one needs, it should be consensus, Cowboys Nation. Offensive line. It should be a consensus offensive line. I'm a trenches guy. I would love to go trenches in round one, or, you know, but we'll see who's on the board. All right, let's get Los in 240. What's good, Los?
Good morning, Sky, man. I hope you're having a great Thursday morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Los. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, I'll be completely honest, Sky. I don't like that they're seeing all these wide receivers and tight end. This Mayer kid, I feel like there's way more position of need. Now, if we didn't make that Cooks trade, and if we didn't prime ourselves from last year to move on from Schultz, that's a different position. But we have, there's so many places we can go in this draft, and I don't think wide receiver and tight end is one of them. But I'll leave you with this. I'll shout out to Brian Broaddus from, The Fan. But if you listen to him at times on the radio, you can kind of get the idea where the Cowboys want to go. And from what I've been hearing, it could be tight end, which if they do that, I wouldn't understand that move. It'll be taking a step, not forward, but you're just remaining the same of where you were last year. And you would probably take snaps away from Ferguson and Hendershot, which in the first place, then why do you draft those kids? I don't understand that move. But I will leave you with this. If there's two guys, and I'll land the plane here, that the Cowboys should bring in for a cup of coffee to see what these guys are about, I'll give you two names. And I think you heard me talk about them. And this is not a first round, but maybe in the second round, because if you think about the Cowboys, most of the players that have been in primetime position can be second round and up. The first rounds don't always have to be the, hits. So mine is Cam Smith from South Carolina. He's a great corner, has upside to be not afraid to be physical. And if you see him play, most of his turnovers are created and not played into. And if you give me Cam Smith with this secondary, you're just putting this secondary into a no-fly zone, Sky. And, my second name is Siaka Yaka from Baylor. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name.
I believe it's Siaka Yaka.
Yeah. But if Cowboys miss out on the legit first-round edge or defensive tackle, I do think he's a plug-in rotational player that can be an everyday nose tackle. And the more he gets comfortable with the attack and strength he'll be facing at the NFL level, he should be able to, stuff up that run game. And, that's exactly what the Cowboys need. I'm not saying these names should be first-round picks, not at all. But if there's players that out there that you can get in the second round and, let's say you do go for a tight end in the first round, you got to capitalize either what you need offensively, which is offensive line, or defensive. And, that's what I'm looking for. So let's see what they do. But I wouldn't go with the tight end first round at all. So that's just my opinion, and I think Cowboys can agree with that.
Good names, man.
Nation.
Good names. Right. Yep. Siaka Ika is definitely one of those trash can full of dirt nose tackles that I view him as a later in the draft guy. I wouldn't really take him, like you said, day one, or I don't even know if I'd go second round. But yeah, I would want my DT to be a little bit more versatile. But if I'm looking for just trash can full of dirt, you can get a couple of them dudes later in the draft.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. Yeah, that's just my opinion. You have a great morning. And then, also, Sky, let me say this. You might be going to a Stars game, correct? And if you go, if I remember, y'all went to a Mavericks game, they lost. If y'all go to the Stars game and they lose in the playoffs, you better not show up to the NFC Conference Championship.
Hey, man, don't put that on me. They was playing the Amazing Warriors at that time. Come on, man.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. I can't deal with so many heartbreaks, man.
Touche. All right, brother. Appreciate you. I tell you what, if I do go, I don't know what I'm gonna be watching, so I don't know the rules, none of that. I just know if he score, we say go, let go. Oh wait, that's the wrong sport. I'm just gonna enjoy the game. I'll probably be the least stressed out person at that game because I ain't gonna know what's going on. It might give me a Stars hat or something like that, but I ain't got no emotion invested in this. Shit, when we went to the Mavericks game, I know the real diehard fans that was sitting next to me and Voch was annoyed. Because me and Voch was talking about real life stuff, and then in the middle, like we was watching the game, but we was also bonding and whatnot, but we had no emotions tied to this game at all. We was just like, man, this is cool, man. We really here. Look at our coworker down there, Draymond Green. Meanwhile, you had this lady with her husband and kids wilding right next to us, snapping the hell out. And I'm like, you go, girl. I feel you. I don't care, but you go. Because that's how I am about the Cowboys. All right, man. One last one. Before I get to the last one, I kind of want to have this conversation that I saw Professor O brought up. And we've kind of mentioned this a little bit, Professor O. We're kind of on the same page. In to paraphrase, he's basically saying The Cowboys don't have to keep spending first-round picks on offensive linemen. That's fair. And we've even talked about how some of these teams are developing, third-round, fourth-round guys. Now, the Cowboys, you could say, develop McGovern. They develop, Tyler Biotish. I would not disagree with you at all. They did. I just think this year they've kind of put themselves in that hole, in that box that, look, man, if a top-rated offensive lineman is there, you almost have to take it because you kind of need it. So, and in years past, when you had Lyle and Travis and Zach and Tyron, you were a little bit flexible because you already spent all them damn first-round picks and money on the line that you kind of were cool. But with the line deteriorating right now, Zach on the way out, Tyron's he don't even exist to me. And I know you just got Tyler, but hell, Terrence Steele. They developed Terrence Steele too. So they technically developed 3 dudes who weren't drafted in the top 2 rounds. So not a bad hit rate. I agree. You should be able to develop linemen that aren't first round picks. But you are in this position that if a guy is there, you need it. You need it. Like, don't overthink it. Don't get to 26 and one of them guys are there that you like, or 58, one of them guys are there that you like, and you say, well, we spent so many picks or a lot of money on a position in years past. Let's bypass it because we want to get cute. If that player's there and that player's a fit and you like that player a lot, man, just pull the trigger. It is what it is. It has worked out for the Cowboys. I mean, they've developed some they've been hitting on them round 1 guys. So, but when it's time to pay the piper, it will cost you a lot, 240. What it is, what it do?
What's good, fam? It's Clebo from DC, man.
Clebo from DC. I'm doing fantastic on this Thursday. How are you?
That's what's up, man. I'm great, man. I just want to touch on. First, I want to thank y'all, man. I don't really watch a lot of college football, honestly, but when I listen to you guys, you know what I'm saying, it make me hear about somebody. I'm like, all right, let me go check this play out. Check this play out. And honestly, what I want to go in the draft, man, I know, offensive line is important, but first pick, I want, like Landlord was saying, man, this team is so close, man. By picking up Gilmore and Cooks, man, we so close. We don't need somebody who actually start, but we do need somebody to contribute, man. I want to get another dog up in that front 7, man.
Well, look, you ain't going to get me to argue with you. I love me a dog in the front 7. Who you thinking?
Man, I mean, I know I heard y'all talking about Will McDonald, man. I started checking him out. I'm like, man, if we could get somebody like that, man, with Parsons. Because honestly, I would go with a dog, one of them dogs in the first round in the front 7, and then I go a guard or guard/tackle or guard/center. And then I go running back at tight end, man, right after that.
Come on.
And as far as receiver, man, I honestly, I know a lot of people, I'll be saying this, people be laughing at me. I want to see what Jalen Tolbert got, man, and the reason I say that, man, is last year when he came in, and Scott, I know you watch a lot of sports, football, whatever, and tell me if I'm wrong, man. You got certain people that they just straight dogs. Like, it don't matter what situation you put them in, they going to be a dog.
Right.
Then you got other people who need that confidence to become a dog. You know what I mean? So I think Jalen Tolbert coming from a small school, coming in here, Gallup coming off of ACL. We just lost Cooper. They put a whole lot of pressure on this dude. He had to learn all 3 receiving spots. They put a lot of pressure on him. I think he folded under that. I want to see what he could do when he don't have that pressure no more. Now he got Cooks. We got Gallup as the number 3. Ain't nobody really expecting too much from Tolbert. You know what I'm saying? That might be something that he may need to build his confidence, and he might end up, and I ain't saying he's going to be the best receiver in the league, but he might be somebody that could really help us out on offense, man. What do you think about that?
Those are fair points, and he 100% had a culture shock. Like you go back and watch the interview. When I interviewed Jalen Tolbert at camp, you can hear it and see it in his voice and his demeanor, but off air, I was talking to him about it because I think that was a time where James Washington got hurt and Michael Gallup was still out. So there was a lot put on Jalen Tolbert. Like, Jalen Tolbert was really supposed to come in here and kind of settle in as wide receiver 3 and have that upside as 2. But there was no Washington anymore. There's no Michael Gallup. So he had a lot of pressure on him. And he was like, yeah, trying to learn the playbook. I'm trying to, listen to what Gallup and Washington and those boys are telling me because they've kind of been around the league longer than everybody else. And you felt that there was a culture shock. With that said, though, I don't think that I'm turning away from a talent because of Jalen. Like if Jalen Tolbert was a first round investment, second round investment, maybe you give him a little longer leash. Third round is right on that, is on that line. Like, look, we obviously want you to develop, but if I don't know, who do you like in the A.T. Perry? I'm not sure if you're familiar. Tillman, one of these type guys are floating around round 3, and you feel really good about that guy. I'm not afraid of competition. I would, if they want to take one of them dudes and say, look, Jalen, you want to be a dog, show me, right? So it's a fine line you're kind of walking because he is still technically a premium pick in the 3rd round, and you want him to develop, but I also want a confident player. And I know sometimes you gotta give them little crumbs so that they can gain their confidence. But if I'm in a year or 2 and I see Tolbert is still struggling with that, I don't think the Cowboys should have a long leash. They should be looking to figure out a way to get somebody else involved. So there's actually pressure, I believe, on Jalen Tolbert this year, brother. I do.
I agree with you. I'm not saying, I wouldn't draft a receiver. You know what I mean? I was just saying it from the point, like, a lot of people, I feel like a lot of Cowboy fans, at least the ones I talked to, they just gave up on Tolbert, man.
Don't give up on him, yo. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't feel like that because I feel like certain players, you know what I mean? They just need that. They just need something to build that confidence, and once they get that confidence, then it's full throttle. You know what I mean? I just think like you said,
I tell you
say
this.
It again?
I'll tell you this. I like what I hear from Tolbert more than I like what I saw from Kelvin Joseph. Kelvin Joseph had an issue with confidence, right? And they went out and got a corner. And what did Kelvin Joseph do? He went on Instagram and he said, I can't believe they're doing this to me. Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Tolbert comes out and he's he's honest about himself, about his evaluation, about his year. Hey man, I had a bad year. I didn't, I was trying to learn and play at the same time and, it didn't work out, but I want to show them why they drafted me. Just go look at the two's reactions to the, one was a receiver, they got a receiver. One's a corner, they got a corner. Look at their reaction. So that does tell me something about Jalen Tolbert.
That's true. I seen an interview with Tolbert too, and I respected that about him, man. Yeah. Like, cause he want to get better. You could see he want to get better,
right?
And he want to learn from the guys ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? He ain't out there pouting like, why y'all go get another receiver?
Right.
Joseph, man, I'm done with Joseph, man. You know what I'm saying? I was holding on.
He said I'm done with Kelvin, but I ain't done with Jalen. Yeah,
I'm done with him just because of his attitude, not even because of his play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you can build your confidence and get better, but it's just your attitude, bro. Like it don't seem like he really want it, man. Like he don't want it, man. He wanted to be given to him instead of working for it, man. So I ain't really with that, man. But all that being said, man, everything like I said, man, we got a great team. I think we can knock this draft out, and I still want to get. I know I called you a couple weeks ago. I still want to get Ashawn Robinson, man. I know he's still out there. Man, he's still out there, man. We could really make some things happen, man. For real, man. We got a nice mob, man. But just wanted to thank you, man, for taking my call, man. Appreciate all the content, man. Keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Appreciate you, big dog. Great call too. Good conversation, man. Good conversation.
You like a couple weeks ago, man. You tried to hit me with that Debo music, man. But
hit you with the Debo. Clebo. That's right. I did hit you with the Damn, I was supposed to hit you again with it because you basically Debo Clebo. Appreciate you, fam.
Nice. You good though. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one, bro.
Salute. Yeah, man. Tolbert. Look, kid's got talent. I think he hit the nail on the head in regards to confidence. But with confidence, right, that comes with knowing what you're doing. And Jalen just didn't know what he was really doing. I saw somebody in the chat say, you mean to tell me he couldn't put up what, the numbers that Gallup put up? Maybe he could have if he knew what he was doing. If he couldn't get on the field last year with the way the receiver room was, that should tell you all you need to know. That should tell you, man. And he came out and admitted it to y'all, right? That that was the worst that I've been. So we don't have to guess anymore about what the issue was with Jalen Tolbert. He told you. I was trying to learn, and when I was trying to learn and play, I was thinking too slow, and I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. And was Mike McCarthy who came out and said the secret sauce is to take less responsibility so he can play faster. That's going to be a huge plus for Jalen Tolbert. Huge plus. I ain't got nothing for Kelvin Joseph. I don't know what to tell you with Kelvin Joseph, bro. I will say this. I'm not going to go into too much. I'm going to be paying close attention at camp, though. How he moved. I ain't talking about physically, but how he moves. Last year was a little shocking, you know, a little bit shocking. He still had his guide and Cam and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh, wait. Well, you should be focused, but we'll see. I'm gonna pay attention to what's going on with him, and hopefully he uses this as motivation. But I got nothing else for you. Kelvin Joseph, he had more of a shot than Jalen did, and he didn't do well. So there's that. All right, great stuff today, man. Let me go to the super chats. I've been trying to read them as we've been going. So, boy, I swear to God, I don't know how many times I've seen move Kelvin Joseph to free safety. Since he was drafted, by the way, you know, people have been talking about move Kelvin Joseph to free safety. Boom, boom. I think I got everybody. Okay, so Towboat dropped one earlier I did not get.
Super chat.
Towboat said, ain't got much to say, just showing some love. Also, I'm going to be pissed if we take a tight end in round one. Have a great weekend, Bomb Squad. Appreciate you, Towboat. Ty, always coming through with the super chats. Thank you very much. We got everybody else. Shout out to Sully, Todd, Jose, Towboat, AA Ron for the super chat donations today. Shout out to y'all for killing it in the chat. Always. Look, I don't know about anybody else's chat in regards to other team content creators, but Cowboy content creators chats are the most fire. The most fire. The Bomb Squad, elite.
Bomb Squad!
Absolutely elite. Half the damn time, y'all have y'all own show going on in there. Y'all the best, man. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button, please, please, please. It is our, as Vosh likes to say, virtual currency. And if you're new, you just popped in and you like what you see, subscribe, man. If you want to continue to look around, you're not quite sure yet, do that. But in order to be a part of
Bomb Squad,
you do have to be a subscriber. That is one thing I am glad I did, you know, and I think I got that from the, what was it? The San Fran game last year. Because, boy, we had all these San Francisco fans coming in here and just being absolute trolls. You know, I don't mind a good troll, but it was getting ridiculous, messing up the flow of the chat. And I was like, you know what? Put that subscriber. And I never stopped since then. And I think it has helped keep this chat smooth. So I appreciate y'all, Bomb Squad. And mods. Thank you, mods. I will be on the final show of the week with Voch Lombardi. Some good news coming with that, too. If you guys can't catch the shows live, we got something in the works for that. And then Mo, he'll be back on for the final show of the week. Oh, Sully, I missed your super chat. Talking about KJ, Kelvin Joseph. He said, Kelvin Joseph.
Super chat.
He gonna hit us with the R. Kelly. Y'all killing me with this. I don't know how I don't know how to hog tie people. You know what's funny, Sully? When he did that, that is exactly who I thought of. And I was going to have a drop for it, but I didn't think we'd be bringing it up more, but we've been bringing it up a lot. So maybe I had to get that drop, Sully. Appreciate you, big dog. Now, let me hit this button. Where am I going here? Get up out of here. Got some things to do. Make sure y'all tune in later, man. I think it's mock draft reaction. Let me see. I might even have it up here. Pull up. Yep. We got a mock draft reaction later on the volume, man. Should be fun. Been loving these things. I'll get with y'all later. Salute to the Bomb Squad. Salute to the Mod Squad. We out of here. Peace. don't know how to hog tie.
Bomb Squad!